A woman, guess what? When I gotta come and drop 40 and I'm on my fucking period and I'm bleeding and my stomach hurts and my back hurts, when y'all load manage.
You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, let's talk about Michael Porter Jr. I made a video the other day where him and I believe it was LaMelo Ball were talking about how 7th and 8th grade and 9th grade boys, future NBA players.
I mean, it's probably true. Those 4 words detonated a firestorm. Sophie Cunningham, a prominent WNBA player, just delivered a bombshell that shattered the carefully constructed narratives of her own league. Her honesty cut directly through the widespread outrage, instantly contradicting the emotional fury that had engulfed the sports world. This wasn't just an opinion, it was a blunt dose of reality, delivered with an unfiltered candor that few in her position would dare to exhibit. The entire sports world braced for the fallout, knowing this truth would sting.
LaMelo Ball, we're talking about how 7th and 8th grade and 9th grade boys, future NBA players, but their 7th, 8th, and 9th grade selves, let's put it that way, would absolutely, positively destroy anybody, everybody that plays in the WNBA. We're not even talking about grown men here. We're talking about boys. And it's something we've always tried to be fair about on this channel. I'm not going to blow smoke up anybody's ass, regardless of how much, and we're going to see.
The controversy began with Michael Porter Jr. and LaMelo Ball. In a casual conversation, they stated that 7th, 8th, and 9th grade boys destined for the NBA, would absolutely positively destroy everybody that plays in the WNBA. This seemingly innocuous comment made in a relaxed podcast setting triggered a monumental backlash. It wasn't an attack on women's capabilities within their own league, but a simple observation about fundamental physical realities in sports, igniting a furious debate about gender and athletic comparison.
Angel McCarti looks like an idiot here, ranting about things that, frankly, no sports fan gives a rat's about. No, I don't have the world's tiniest violin. The level of butthurt from some of these ladies when it comes to just saying out loud something that is the obvious is... It's crazy. It's baffling. And the idea that you're not supposed to speak it out loud? Nah. Sorry.
Then came Angel McCarti's furious tirade. She exploded, accusing men of being obsessed with this conversation and demanding that the only thing that should be coming out of a man's mouth about women in sports is uplifting her. Her emotional outburst escalated a sports debate into a battle over male speech and female deference. McCarti declared that no one was supposed to ever talk about this, implying a forbidden truth, a stark refusal to acknowledge any objective reality that challenged her perspective. Her anger became a rallying cry for a particular viewpoint.
Obsessed with this conversation.
First of all, congratulations. You was dominating against women in the 8th grade. What does he want? Does he want a cookie? You want a medal for that? Like, the only thing that should be coming out of a man's mouth about women is uplifting her. I think the main thing we should be talking about, a woman, guess what? When I gotta come and drop 40 and I'm on my fucking period and I'm bleeding and my stomach hurts and my back hurts, when y'all load manage off a headache, let's talk about how awesome that is. Let's talk about how awesome it is that women, we have these babies and we come back and still dominate sports. That stuff is not, you can dunk. A lot of us can't.
McCarti dismissed Michael Porter Jr.'s observations, sarcastically asking if he wanted a cookie for dominating against women in 8th grade. Her response entirely sidestepped the core point of athletic comparison, instead resorting to personal attacks and framing it as an ego-driven slight. This redirection attempted to invalidate the discussion by questioning the speaker's motives, rather than addressing the actual premise. It was a clear tactic to deflect from an uncomfortable truth and silence any dissenting viewpoints on the subject.
Do that.
When she was playing, how many games were they playing in the WNBA? Like 32 a year? 32 a year? Something like that? Now they play, what, 44? Let's see, in the NBA, they play 81 and have played 81 forever. She's not wrong about load management, by the way. That's some bullshit, too. But the idea, the only thing that should come out of a man's mouth, nah, miss me with that bullshit.
But the awesome things we can do, let's highlight that. Let's highlight that. Guess what? We are wives. So it's not easy to take care of a husband and kids.
McCarti then passionately brought up the immense physical challenges women endure, especially while competing. When I gotta come and drop 40 and I'm on my fucking period. Bleeding and my stomach hurts and my back hurts, she exclaimed, arguing that these unique struggles made direct comparisons unfair. She demanded recognition for how awesome that is, and for women who have these babies and we come back and still dominate sports. This powerful appeal attempted to shift the debate from pure athletic metrics to a celebration of female resilience and sacrifice.
You know, when I made that video the other day, somebody brought it up and I had totally forgot about it. The U.S. women's national soccer team, I believe Megan Rapinoe was on the team, got destroyed by some 13 and 14-year-old boys, I believe out of Dallas years ago. In soccer, they got crushed. Again, I mean, these two guys, Michael Porter Jr. and LaMelo Ball, they weren't dogging out women. They were having a conversation and they stated the obvious. It kills me.
However, the transcript subtly highlighted a critical disparity: the WNBA's comparatively lighter schedule. While McCarti champions women's resilience, the reality is that WNBA players traditionally played around 32 to 44 games a year, whereas NBA players play a grueling 81 games. This significant difference in physical demand undermines part of the superwoman narrative when comparing sheer athletic grind. The commentator pointed out this key factual difference, questioning the equivalency of the demands being placed on both sets of athletes in their respective leagues.
Quote, I mean, it's probably true, Cunningham said, per Clutch Sports. I don't want to be like unrealistic or delusional. Like men are just stronger, bigger, and athletic. Like they are a different build. And if so, if you put them against females, well, yeah, they're going to win. Duh. If you are a professional football player, basketball player, really any sport, but let's just take it basketball because where we're both at, like to me, if you're in that elite group, yeah.
McCarty's stance on male commentary was absolute. The only thing that should be coming out of a man's mouth about women in sports is positive affirmation. This demand effectively shut down any critical or comparative discussion from men, framing any deviation as an attack. She drew comparisons to icons like Kobe and LeBron, claiming they only uplifted us and supported us, suggesting that elite male athletes wouldn't engage in such narratives. This perspective implied a double standard, where only specific types of male voices were deemed acceptable.
That's why she's so liked by so many people. This is a perfect example. The WNBA has a major likability problem when it comes to their players. Why is Sophie Cunningham so well liked? Because she gets it, and she's likable, and she talks and acts like a normal person instead of some activist. And that's what this is too. That's feminist triggered bullshit is what that is. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
The speaker in the source material pushed back hard on McCarty's absolutist view, stating, "The idea the only thing that should come out of a man's mouth, nah, missed me with that butt." They emphasized that Michael Porter Jr. and LaMelo Ball weren't dogging out women or attacking anybody. They were simply having a conversation and stated the obvious on their own podcast. The outrage in this view was a manufactured crisis, an overreaction to a factual observation that some found too uncomfortable to hear spoken aloud. The obvious truth, according to the podcast, was simply that NBA players back in their former boy selves would destroy WNBA players regardless of the level. This core statement, presented as a universal reality, became the flashpoint. The speaker reinforced this by pointing out Michael Porter Jr.'s current NBA average of basically 25 points a game, highlighting the immense talent gap. For them, McCarti's reaction was rooted in ego and a refusal to acknowledge fundamental athletic differences between male and female physiology, even among young athletes. Adding further weight to the obvious truth, the commentator recalled an incident involving the U.S. women's national soccer team. Years ago, the team, reportedly including Megan Rapinoe, got destroyed by some 13 and 14-year-old boys from Dallas. This real-world example outside of basketball provided stark evidence that youth male athletes can indeed outperform elite senior female athletes in certain physical competitions. It directly challenged the notion that such comparisons were inherently invalid or disrespectful, offering a concrete historical precedent. The podcast host firmly countered McCarti's sentiment, "I don't want to hear anything come out of a man's mouth." They retorted, "We have to be moms, we have to be husbands. That's great. If that is your priority, and you don't want to juggle both, don't play." This unvarnished response highlighted a fundamental choice, suggesting that personal priorities should not dictate the terms of athletic debate or silence valid observations. It was a direct challenge to the idea that female roles outside of sport should preclude objective analysis of performance. Then Sophie Cunningham stepped in, offering a refreshingly legit and realistic take that instantly put her at odds with McCarti and others. I mean, it's probably true, Cunningham flatly stated, refusing to be unrealistic or delusional. Her comment, made per clutch points, was a moment of rare candor in a highly charged environment. She chose truth over solidarity, a move that would define her in the eyes of many, positioning her as a voice of reason amidst the emotional chaos. Her words cut deep, directly addressing the core of the controversy. Cunningham's full comment was even more direct. Men are just stronger, bigger, and athletic. Like they are a different build. And if you put them against females, well, yeah, they're gonna win, duh. Her use of duh underscored the perceived obviousness of the fact, dismantling any pretense that this was a complex or debatable issue. This wasn't a slight, it was a biological reality, openly stated by a WNBA player herself. Her straightforwardness was a stark contrast to the indignant outrage that had dominated the conversation. The podcast host lauded Cunningham, calling her maybe the realest basketball player in the WNBA for her completely based and realistic stance. Her ability to talk and act like a normal person instead of some activist was highlighted as a key reason for her popularity. In their view, Cunningham embodied a much-needed grounded perspective, a refreshing antidote to what they termed feminist-triggered butt tea. Her honesty made her so well liked by so many people, proving that common sense could still prevail over ideological fervor. The core of the backlash, according to the commentator, was pure ego. McCarti and others couldn't simply say, yeah, I mean, he's not wrong. This inability to acknowledge a basic truth fueled the disproportionate outrage. The conversation wasn't meant to dog out an NBA player, but rather to openly discuss athletic comparisons without the need for emotional censorship. The pushback wasn't just about Michael Porter Jr., it was a wider resistance to any discourse that might challenge a preferred narrative, regardless of its factual basis. The host agreed with McCarti on one minor point: load management in the NBA is some buck teat too. However, they quickly countered, reminding listeners that NBA players still play significantly more games than WNBA athletes, even with load management. This brief concession didn't overshadow the main argument. Instead, it contextualized McCarti's point, preventing a full endorsement. It showed a willingness to find common ground on unrelated issues, while firmly disagreeing with the central premise of the feminist tirade and its attack on free speech. The constant refrain from McCarti and others, that nobody's supposed to ever talk about this, was branded as ridiculous. The podcast host emphasized that the purpose of their platform in any podcast is to have a conversation. Silencing discussion, especially around the obvious, directly undermines the very essence of open dialogue. This enforced silence, they argued, stemmed from an unwillingness to confront uncomfortable truths, leading to accusations of a no-holds-barred truth being too offensive for some to tolerate. The controversy highlights a perceived lackability problem within the WNBA, according to the host. Sophie Cunningham's widespread appeal and likable persona stem directly from her willingness to be authentic and get it. This stark contrast between Cunningham's grounded approach and the feminist triggered butt it was presented as a crucial factor influencing public perception of the league. It suggested that authenticity and realism were far more engaging than ideological posturing, and that the league's future might depend on embracing such voices. Ultimately, the entire saga, from Michael Porter Jr.'s innocent observation to Angel McCarty's furious retort, and finally Sophie Cunningham's blunt honesty, exposed a deep ideological rift in sports commentary. It's a clash between objective athletic reality and an emotionally charged demand for only uplifting narratives. The question remains, can sports conversations truly be free and open, or will certain truths be deemed too inconvenient to ever be spoken aloud, risking careers for those who dare to utter them? Sophie Cunningham dared to speak that inconvenient truth, not with malice, but with a straightforwardness that resonated with countless fans. She chose integrity over manufactured outrage, solidifying her reputation as a voice of reason. Her candor forced a crucial conversation, revealing that not everyone within the WNBA agreed with the narrative being pushed. Her courage in the face of what others called a gross feminist tirade offers a glimpse into the battles being fought, not just on the court but within the broader cultural landscape of professional sports.